Chapter 7. The days flew by as Sally gathered herself and her belongings together. Dora was fantastic and made it her mission to provide her sisters with even more clothes, to create the most comprehensive wardrobe she could find. Sally gained several more pairs of trousers, one pair of which was velvet, 2 jackets, 3 shirts, and 2 pairs of court shoes. God, I will never wear these, Sally shrieked as she wobbled round the shoe shop. You may not, but lots of characters in your plays will, Dopey, replied Dora. Just think of all those young ladies who need rescuing in those Agatha Christie dramas. You're so right, Sally said. I suppose I was thinking more along the lines of Shakespeare and Chekhov. But of course we will be doing farce and thrillers, won't we? She sighed and handed the shoes to her sister, saying, Thank you, I'll take these. Dora also excelled in the sewing department, and she made Sally 2 beautiful evening dresses using patterns similar to the dresses they had seen in the vintage shop. The girls had decided to go back to Jackie and return the dresses they had originally bought and use the money to buy some costume jewellery. Dora had promised that she would liaise with Jackie once she was working at Crewe and knew a bit more about the budget and what might be required. Sally ended up with a black satin seats dress that made her look really slim and very sexy. Oh my, look at you, said her mother admiringly. This is the new Sally I am seeing here. Oh, Mum, please don't. It is embarrassing, not me at all. Sally wriggled uncomfortably and got a slap on the leg from Dora. Keep still or you'll get a pin in your bum. Don't be so daft, Sally. You are an actress. This is half the fun, being able to dress up and be something you are not. So just shut up. Dora had made the second dress much more demure, like the one in Jackie's shop. It was 1950s style with a full skirt and a petticoat in a gorgeous peacock blue. Dora, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I could never have done this by myself. Sally beamed at her sister. Well, I'm pleased you appreciate me. In return, you must make sure the wardrobe department see what I can do so they realize they can't possibly manage without me. Now, give me one of those pairs of shoes we bought because I'm going to dye them to match this dress. Sally sat down one evening with her father and they went through her finances. Her salary was modest, but there'd be enough to live on. There was only one more favour to be asked, a TV. Well, now, young lady, this is a bit of a luxury, but your mother has persuaded me that you might need the company at first, and it is cheaper than going to the pub every night, so I invested in a new portable TV for your room. Douglas lifted a huge box up from behind his desk. Oh, Dad, you are generous. Thank you so much. I promise it will be all worth it in the end. I will make it up to you and Mother. Just wait and see. Sally hugged her father and went in search of Patricia. Thank you, Mum, she said, throwing her arms around her mother's waist. Whatever for? The light dawned. Oh, the TV. I am guessing. Well, it is important you keep up with what is on telly, isn't it? Patricia said gaily. Quite right, Mum. You are a wise old bird and no mistake. Less of the old, thank you, scolded Patricia. Now let's go and find your suitcase and start putting things in piles. You know how much I like a neat little pile. They both laughed and went in search of bags. Despite her days being full on, Sally did manage to arrange a photo shoot with Mac. She went to his studio and they spent a couple of hours taking different shots in different locations. Mac was easygoing and made her feel very comfortable. I usually hate having my photo taken, she ventured as she sat on a chair in the middle of several unfinished sculptures in Mac's studio. Everything was white, even the floors, but whatever Mac had done with the lighting had suffused the whole room in a soft haze. It was very restful, and when Sally saw the Polaroids he had taken as tests, she was pleasantly surprised by how pretty she looked. Lighting is the most important factor in photography, I think, Mac was saying as he snapped away, and not just in photography. It obviously makes a huge difference when I'm painting or sculpting. I love being in this space, and it changes all the time depending on the seasons, he grinned. I get completely carried away in here some days, and Muriel has to come and remind me that there is a world out there. I envy your solitude, said Sally. It must be wonderful to practice your art without having to rely on other people. As an actor, I need an audience for a reaction. Spouting Shakespeare in my lonely attic is not going to get me a job. I have to be out there in front of people. Yes, I suppose you are right, replied Mac. I have never thought about it from that perspective, although ultimately I am also reliant on someone commissioning and the public buying my work. Yes, but you can create it first without a reaction from anyone. Acting requires a response, especially comedy. As an actor, I also need some objective watching over me. It is all about the director at the end of the day, especially on TV and film. Although at the theatre, the actor is the master on stage. He can rehearse for weeks and the director can give notes all day long. But once that curtain goes up, it is his domain. For those 2 hours he is in control. What a great feeling that is. Sally had risen to her feet with excitement and then realized she had ruined the pose. Oh, I'm so sorry, but surely you have enough photos by now, Mac. Please, let's go and have a drink. Oh, you are right. Come on, let's go and have a slap-up dinner. The paper is peeing. Mac took her to a French bistro near the river. It was very exclusive, and Sally guessed that it was also very expensive. I told you the local rate is paying for this, said Mac. When Sally raised an eyebrow at the prices, you're worth it, Miss Thomas, a potential in the making. They both laughed and got down to the serious business of eating and drinking. It was a lovely evening. Mac was so easy to talk to and funny as well, with the rose glow of a bottle of Bajoli inside her. Sally was brave enough to suggest that he might like to come and visit her and crew. You could bring Muriel and Dave and make a weekend of it. See me perform even, she giggled, thinking of herself. I can't believe I'm doing this. I would love that, replied Mac. Would it matter if I came on my own? He was looking at her very intensely now, and Sally began to feel a little warm. Not at all, she said shyly. Mac got the bill and they left, finding each other's hand as they walked home. It felt so good and so right to be there with Mac. Sally was in a state of shock. What was this all about? They stopped at the bottom of the street near her house, and Mac kissed her deeply, drawing her into him. He then stepped back and held her face in his hands. I'm going to miss you, Sally Thomas. I want to come and see you very soon, if that is okay with you. Yes, please, whispered Sally and kissed him again. She had never felt so alive. She wanted to make love to Mac so badly, but this was just not the right time. She was leaving in a couple of days, and he would think badly of her, surely. Mac, I want to say, she began, but he put a finger to her lips. You don't have to say anything, Sally. I understand this is not the right time for you to start a love affair with me or anybody, but believe me, I would love to see you again, and I don't want to lose this moment, however fragile it may be. Let us try to meet as soon as we can and see what develops. You are a very special lady, Sally Thomas. I need you, but your public needs you more. Oh, thank you, Mac. Sally hugged him hard. I can't wait to show you my new life when you come up. Mac leaned down and planted a chaste kiss on her cheek, then turned and walked away. As Sally watched him go, he turned around briefly with a wave and was gone. Sally began to feel tears welling up and chided herself yet again on being foolish. She was doing what she had always wanted to do. She must not get sidelined. Get a grip, girl, she told herself. This is what you want, and you're going to make the most of it. By Saturday night, Sally was ready to go. She had decided to catch an early train on Sunday morning, even though her parents had offered to drive her. It seemed important that she made the break this end and showed some spirit. Now, as the train shuddered to a halt and whistle pierced her dreams, Sally awoke with a start and realized she had arrived at Platform 1, cruise station. Giving a little yawn, she stood up and began to collect her bags. Excitement surged through her. Let the adventure begin. Act 2 takes center stage. Chapter 8. My old man said, follow the van and don't dilly-dally on the way. Off went the van with me, some packed in it. I followed on live me old linnet, but I dillied and dallied and I dillied. Lost me way and don't know where to roam. Well, you can't trust a special like the old-time coppers when you can't find your way home. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my wonderful world of theatre. Giles Longfellow's voice reverberated around the theatre and bounced off the chandelier to land smack bang in the centre of the stage. Sally was reminded of her first visit to Crewe, and her gaze immediately flew to the royal box. Sure enough, she could see the shadowy figure of her employer hovering behind a gilded pillar. He appeared like a conjurer at the finale of his act and looked down upon the assembled cast. Forgive my theoretically folks, but I love this theatre, and I'm determined that this season will be the best ever. I have gathered a great cast and some wonderful entertainment for the next 9 months, and together we will ensure that live theatre lives on in the province despite the government's best efforts to curb our budget. Heather, please hand out the schedule of works which I come down and join you. He disappeared through the curtain at the back of the box, and the company turned expectantly to Heather, the stage manager. Sally had met her at 9 o'clock that morning as she arrived at the stage door. Hi, I am Sally Thomas, ASM, small parts and understudy, she had announced rather nervously. I am not quite sure what to do first, or who to ask for. Heather had slapped her on the back and steered her towards the stage, saying, Oh, well done for getting here early. That bodes well for the first day. I'm Heather Rollins, and I'm the stage manager here. It's my third year, so I pretty much know how it works. Come and have a cup of tea in the office, and I will fill you in. Sally followed her down to the basement and along a narrow corridor lined with huge heating pipes. There was a door at the end, and Heather ushered her into a musty room with a light bulb swinging from the ceiling and desk with a lamp and piles of paperwork on it. A broken armchair stood in the corner next to a side table, on which was a kettle and some cracked mugs and containers of tea and coffee. There was a half-full bottle of milk that Heather quickly emptied into a tiny basin on the corner. She left the bottle on the floor by a bin as she produced a fresh one from her rucksack. We waste so much milk here, but without a fridge, what can we do? Tea or coffee? She asked, filling the kettle. Oh, tea, please, said Sally, looking around. Not exactly the Theatre Royal Haymarket, is it? Remarked Heather. To be honest, I'm hardly ever in here, as I'm too busy running around like a blue-ass fly. Have you done any stage management at all? She posed the question as if she already knew the answer. Well, I did a bit at drama school, but this is my first professional job, actually, and oh crap, I thought so. Heather cut her off. Sorry, Sally, but Giles does this to me every year. Hires would be actresses to do stage management. You are not in the least bit interested in lighting or props. You just want to perform. She threw her tea back into a mug and banged it down in front of Sally. It drives me mad. There's another girl in the cast down at as ASM as well. Sarah something. I just hope she is the genuine article. I am so sorry, stammered Sally. I really am. But please don't think I am not going to pull my weight. I fully expect to do my share. I am eager to learn, honestly. Heather sat down at her desk and studied her for a few minutes. Sally waited for her assessment. Fair enough, came the side response. At least you tipped up on time today. Let's see how we get on. Now today can go smooth as treacle or turn into bedlam. First thing you need to know, my girl, is all about the pecking order. But first I'll do the tea. She got up and poured boiling water into the mugs. Pecking order? Repeated Sally. How do you mean? Heather came back and took a list from her bag. She placed it between them. This is a cast, and it's important that you learn who's at the top of the list and who's at the bottom. And let me tell you that very often, some of these buggers shouldn't be any list at all. Her good humour restored. Over the next half an hour, Heather took Sally through the cast and then led her up to the stage to lay out chairs and ready for the meet and greet. Two large chairs stood in the centre, and then the smaller fold-away chair fanned out on each side onto a semicircle. Heather laid a cast list on the two main chairs, saying, "These are for Peggy and Percy, our leading artists, a couple of stage as well as unknown behind her back as Pinky and Perky." She snorted. They rule the roost, so watch out. Don't tell Peggy anything she can use against you, and keep out of Percy's way unless you are prepared to be a slave to his demands. How many of the cast have been here today? Sally asked, as she put a tight list on each chair. Let's see. Well, Geoffrey Chalice has done a few seasons here. He's lovely, by the way. He has a wife and 3 kids, and I really don't know how he makes ends meet, but I suspect his missus has money. Chairman Lloyd was here last year. She's okay most of the time, but I get the impression she feels she should be leading the Royal Shakespeare Company. As far as I know, everyone else is newcomer. I'm staying with Peter and Jane at the moment. I met them last night, and they seem very pleasant. Sally followed Heather across the stage to the past door. Heather held it open for her, and then they both climbed the stairs to the green room, which was inevitably at the top of the building. This will keep you fit, puffed Heather. I keep trying to give up the fags, but it's hopeless. The green room was the heart of my theoretical company, so called because it was invariably painted green. It was the communal dumping ground and meeting place for the actors and stage management. Here there was tea and coffee, a kettle, a fridge, and a microwave. The fridge, Heather said, was usually crammed with every type of food imaginable, from salad to pot noodles to mouldy cheese. The room always had that faint odour of curry, and burnt toast this morning was no exception. Heather went straight to the little window in the corner and opened it, saying, "Oh God, it always stinks in here. Look at the sink. No one ever washes up the plates or anything. I'm going to put up a notice for the new company, and let's try to get them at least clear up their own mess. We have enough to do without taking that on as well. Now, as you will discover, the tea and coffee need constant replenishing. It goes so fast. The management pays for that, and milk, and sometimes biscuits for special occasions like today. First day we always have biscuits, which I have brought with me, so if you could find a clean plate and put them out. I will make a start on washing up mugs. We are about 20 today. Blimey, as many as that, said Sally, hunting for plates. Yes, this lighting designer comes, and the designer, the wardrobe, and the carpenter, etc. Plus, we are quite a big cast, added Heather. 12, I think, and more to come later. By the time they had sorted out the refreshments and carried them back to the stage, the first arrivals were standing around looking lost. Morning all, this is tea and coffee on the way, so please find a seat and read your production notes and call sheets, announced Heather authoritatively. Sally, let's set up a table in the front corner. There is a socket there for the kettle. Sally followed her over to the corner and dumped her load, then turned back to the stage to watch the arrivals. Janine and Peter had just come in and waved in her direction. Sally went to join them. Morning, you two. Sorry I was in such a state last night, but it was such a nightmare journey. I never thought I would make it, Sally said. Indeed, I had a terrible time yesterday, having fallen asleep as the train sped through the Cotswold. She was rudely awakened by a very loud announcement that, due to works on the line, the train was delayed. Sally was not particularly bothered, as she had all day, so she decided to find the buffet car and get herself supplies. To her horror, there was a queue right down the train. 30 minutes later, she arrived at the counter and to find there was nothing left except crisps and water or wine. I'll have a white wine and a pack of plain crisps, please. She took her meagre purchases back to her seat and gazed out of the window. It had started to drizzle, and the landscape was definitely no longer as pleasant. She could see two huge concrete silos in the distance, and smoke was billowing from giant chimney stacks on the other side of the tracks, sending great white fluffy clouds into the grey mass of sky above, like daubs of paint on a palette. She thought further announcements came and went, until 2.5 hours later the train squealed to life and shuddered forward slowly, finally gathering speed, but not for long. 30 minutes later, the voice of doom announced from the tannoy in a fine black country burr that this train will shortly be stopping at Rugby. Would passengers please alight and wait on platform 3 for the next train to Crewe? By the time the train had spat them all out, the passengers were mutinous, but there was no one to complain to, so they fell back on each other. Sally escaped to the waiting room and found a corner seat. It was now mid-afternoon, and she could see her whole day disappearing fast. She wondered if there was any way she could warn Janey and Pete that she would be late. If they decided to go out, she was completely snookered, and she had no keys. But they had no phone in the digs, as she remembered. Maybe she could ring Gladys at the stage door, but then what could she do? No, Sally did not want to cause trouble so early in the day. She would just try to luck. Hearing commotion, she looked out to see a group of irate passengers accosting a guard. She went to the door of the waiting room and opened it to listen to his excuses. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's have some calm. We are doing our best to make alternative arrangements for your onward journey. Would you kindly make your way to the ticket office, where my colleague will give you details of your onward transport? This sounds ominous, thought Sally. She gathered up her things and joined the crowd as they crossed the platform over the bridge to the ticket office. After waiting in the queue, she finally made it to the grill, where a very harassed-looking lady was taking down information. Destination? She inquired curtly. Crewe, please, replied Sally. Right, there will be a coach outside here in 45 minutes to take you to Crewe. Sorry for any inconvenience. How long will the journey take, do you think? I am not from round here, and I have no idea where I am really. Sally tried to smile her way into the woman's affections. Oh dear, well, this is Rugby, so if the traffic is okay in the motorway, you should be there in an hour and a half. Here's your ticket. Good luck, love. Her parting shot to Sally came with an attempt at a smile. Great, thought Sally. I'm not going to get to my digs much before 8 o'clock tonight. In fact, she arrived on the doorstep of her new home at 7:30 and almost burst into tears of relief when her knock was answered and Janine was standing there. Goodness, we thought you must have got lost, the other girl cried. I'm so sorry, but I couldn't ring you, could I? Replied Sally as she practically fell through the door with her bags. I've been on a train or coach since 10 o'clock this morning. Great British Rail, how do they manage it? You poor girl, here, let me take your bags, and you go and sit by the fire with Pete. I expect you're starving. We have only got the basics in so far, but I can make you some cheese on toast and a cup of tea or hot chocolate. Oh, that sounds like heaven, sighed Sally. Thank you so much. Hello, Pete. Nice to meet you. She leaned down to take Pete's hand, but he politely jumped up. Sally, welcome. It is lovely to meet you too. What a bum, eh? Still, you are here now, and Janine will have you settled in before you know it. She's a real mother hen, and I can't believe I have been so lucky to find her. She rules my life. They sat down and let Janine fuss around them. Sally felt instantly at home, and the day's woes faded as fast as she ate her cheese on toast and wrapped her hands around a steaming mug of hot chocolate. Have you got any idea what happens tomorrow morning? She asked Peter. I'm actually ASM, small parts and understudy, so I am expected to be in early doing chores, unfortunately. She grinned. Not like you, Pete, a proper actor. Now we are not having any distinctions between stage management and artists in our company. We are all in together, aren't we, sweetheart? Peter grabbed Janine's hand as she stood beside him and pulled it into his lap. She let out a squeal of delight. Oh, yes, definitely, we are all in it together, she giggled and wrapped her boyfriend's hand around her. I have every intention of getting myself a small part in some of the plays as well as making the costume, she announced. Then, stop that, you wicked boy. Sorry, Sally, but he's very naughty. She turned on his lap and kissed him full on the lips. Sally took this as her cue to go to bed. Good night, guys. I will leave to it. I need to get to the theatre tomorrow for 9. So I will creep out and see you there later. Thanks for the lovely welcome. She made her way upstairs and left the lovebirds clasping in each other's arms. They hardly seemed to notice Sally's exit. Her little room looked so cozy as she opened the door. Dear Janine had made up her bed and put a bulb in the lamp for her. The curtains only just made it across the window, but it was only a temporary home, so it didn't matter for now. She found her wash bag and made her way to the bathroom. There was a gorgeous smell of lavender from a candle burning in a saucer on the edge of the bath. Sally would have loved a long soak, but decided to wait until she had got the feel of the place and how everything worked. She cleaned her teeth and had a quick wash, then fell into her little bed and was sleeping moments. Sally, are you there? Come in, Houston. Heather broke through Sally's reverie. Can you make some drinks, please? Our leading actor has arrived. Sorry, Heather, I was miles away. No problems, I'm on it. Sally crossed the stage and took note of 2 larger-than-life people standing centre stage. Percy, my darling boy, take my bag. The voice belonged to a large bosom lady with lots of jewelry swathing her ample chest. Her head was decked with a turban of exotic material. The makeup was thick but immaculately applied, and the nails were long and scarlet. Miss Delamine, inquired Sally, can I get you a tea or coffee? I'm Sally Thomas, one of the ASMs this season. Oh, hello, dear. How kind of you to ask. Yes, a white coffee with a sweetener, if possible. There should be some around from last season. If not, I have some in my bag. And do we have biscuits? Or have there been cutbacks already? She laughed and looked around for a response from her audience. Sally obliged with a chuckle and Piercy let out a snort. Peggy, you're our card. How do you do, dear? I'm Percival Hackett, leading man to Miss Delamine's leading lady. I would like a strong white tea, please, and a glass of water for the meeting. With that, he turned with a flourish and made his way to the centre seat. Sally went into the wings and prepared the refreshments as requested. She couldn't find any sweeteners, but she put a selection of biscuits into a separate plate for her leading actors and took them over. Thank you, dear girl. Put them on the floor here, would you? Percy pointed to a spot, and Sally obliged, thinking to herself that this could all end in tears, but time enough for all that. First day, just be lovely and get through it, Sally. There was a clap of hands and all went quiet. Giles Longfellow had taken centre stage and was preparing to address his company. Sally quickly crossed to the wings and fetched him a chair, which she placed to the side of him. He acknowledged the gesture with a quick smile, then waved her away. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and let us begin. Thank you for listening.